There are some things in sports that as a fan base, they bother you, right? The games are played on the field. They're with the players that are on your team. There are few things that you can do as a fan to win things or to prove that we are the best fan base in the world, and you get all bent out of shape when one of those things come up. And, well, All-Star games, Pro Bowls, that's a fan thing for the most part. And yesterday, the Browns were honored to say that they got 5 guys into the Pro Bowl, and everybody gets upset. Why isn't JOK in there? Well, wait a minute. MJ Emerson deserves to go. Dustin Hopkins got more votes than anybody. He's not going. Well, I'm going to ease a lot of people's worry on that. Because in reality, it's not a reflection on you. If you wake up this morning and you are super upset that the Browns didn't get more representatives or certain players represented at the Pro Bowl, in a way you feel like that's a reflection on you. I'm here to tell you it's not. I'm here to talk you off the edge here if you're upset about the Pro Bowl. We got a Jeff Driscoll game coming up. Cavs! We were close. We circled the parlay yesterday on the Boost with Tipico. We'll get to that coming up. We got the most vulnerable thing for the Cleveland Browns. Noah Weiskopf joining us. Morning update. Time up. We got it all on a Thursday edition right here on Big Play. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Matt Fontana. He is Ryan Tyler. Good morning. Happy to have alongside here on a beautiful Thursday. No Thursday night football, Ryan. It's a sad day. Sad day from that standpoint.
What are you going to do tonight, Matt?
Well, we got a little boost going for Tipico. We'll get on our little Thursday night basketball action. I guess I got to put all my wagers towards basketball now. Better get sharp on that. We were close last night. Well done on the Cavs. You were supposed to beat the Wizards by almost 40. Remember what did I say? You know I don't really like that 9.5 point spread, right?
It was close, man.
Dominating Max. I'm not saying that we brought up Max Strus for the parlay, but it's all right. Good game for the Cavs last night. Blowout win, and they'll face the Wizards again tomorrow night. So we'll get into some Cavs coming up. Heavy on the Browns again this morning as we gear up for another meaningless game. Jeff Driscoll going to be your starter this weekend. Right call. Kevin Stefanski was asked our question that we brought up yesterday, Ryan. Would you play Myles Garrett in this game if it meant him getting DPOY? We are just 10 minutes away from hearing Coach Stefanski on that answer. Who's sitting? We got an idea who's might be out, but no official word yet other than Joe Flacco sitting out. So we got all that coming up this morning with the Browns. But we start the Pro Bowl yesterday, and we start with a giant congratulations going to the players that did make it for the Cleveland Browns. Joel Bitonio, who's now third. Is it third or fourth? Fourth all time. Fourth all time in Pro Bowls in team history. Yeah. 3 players ahead of him. Go.
Joe Thomas.
Okay, yeah, that's
Jim Brown.
Correct.
Luke Rosen.
Nice! Yes!
Gotta show love to
There
the
you go.
kickers.
The toe. So Joel Bitonio making it. Very congratulations to him. Myles Garrett, of course, deserved to make it. David Njoku, Denzel Ward. Who's the fifth? Who am I missing? The one that made it, the starters.
Oh, sorry. Who'd you already say?
Denzel Ward,
Yeah.
David Njoku,
Yeah.
Myles Garrett,
Yeah.
Joel Bitonio.
Yeah. Oh, wait, why can't I think right now?
Oh, Amari Cooper.
Oh, yeah, duh.
Amari deservingly should
We're
have
just
said.
not used to a Cleveland Browns wide receiver.
Well,
getting
I had that trivia stat out the other day where Amari Cooper right now 8th in yardage amongst wide receivers. David Njoku is 5th amongst tight ends. When's the last time the Browns had a wide receiver and a tight end finish in the top 10 for wide receivers and the top 5 for tight ends? Ryan, you correctly answered that.
I did. 2013. Our guys Josh Gordon, of course, and Jordan Cameron.
Josh Gordon won. Jordan Cameron finished that year 2nd amongst all tight ends, only to Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham of a years past. So Amari Cooper very deservingly to make it. The snubs that I think people will look at, certainly MJ Emerson. People really thought Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah should have made it. Hopkins, Borquez, and then like Teller and Posick, all those guys are Pro Bowl alternates. The crappy thing is they're not going to make it because there's no game anymore. They go play dodgeball. They go play. I would like to see some of those guys sit down and play some chess or something. You know what I mean?
I would like to see all the Cleveland Browns not even participate because we're getting ready for a
Miles
Super Bowl.
Remember when Miles broke his toe?
He was
jumping
hooping.
over a wall?
Yeah.
The Pro Bowl is a joke. And I start that this morning because there are some people that are upset with how the Pro Bowl went. And if you're upset from a level that Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah deserves recognition, I will join you on that. I will join you that Dustin Hopkins deserves that recognition. But in reality, the Pro Bowl means nothing. It really has always meant nothing, and especially those years that you had 5th and 6th alternates. You had, was it Tyler Huntley? Was that the guy that made it for the Ravens the one year?
Yeah.
Because they got so far. I was right, because everybody wanted Brissett to go.
Yeah.
That's right. Folks, don't get worked up about it. Don't get worked up about it. Now, again, I am upset for JOK and MJ and guys that I feel like Wyatt Teller, you're going to tell me that Wyatt Teller's probably going to be an all-pro this year, and he didn't make the Pro Bowl. It is a fan vote, which is only 1/3 of it. The coaches and the players, they vote on that too. I don't care. I don't care. The Pro Bowl has never meant anything to me. I will always put more stock into all-pro teams. That is usually, you make an all-pro team, you are one of the 2 best players, or 4 if it's like 2 positions or whatever. You are one of the best in football. Now, Pro Bowl gets brought up for some positions like Joe Thomas. When you're talking about Hall of Fame resume, I don't have stats. I don't have yardage and touchdowns to be able to compile to say that this guy needs to go. So you look more at Pro Bowls for some of those. Yes, would I like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah to get that recognition at the end of his career or whatever, and there probably are bonuses. Dude, if I was an agent, if I was a player, I want no Pro Bowl bonuses. I want nothing tied to making that, because it's fluky. It's fluky. I sent out last night the final fan tallies. Ryan, every position was the 49ers. Almost every position was the 49ers. Now, do they have the biggest fan base in the world? No, but for the good chunk of the season, they were the best team in football. So when the average Joe, or I would say Joette, or the average fan, Joe and Gene, if you will, they sit down and they vote for their team, but then they the 49ers, they're really good, so I'll give Kyle Juszczyk, Cleveland guy, by the way, Ohio, Medina, give him a vote here. I got nothing for it. I really, it doesn't bother me. Now, what some fans don't like, it's a representation of the fan base. Because if your fan base is large and proud and, engaged, you cast a lot of votes. And it's a reflection of, I guess the Browns fans didn't show up. That's not it. That's not it. So I look at the snubs, and everybody had a list today of who may, whatever.
Who was your biggest snub, Matt?
That's what I'm saying. Like, yes. You want to know what? And I know this doesn't mean anything to MJ or JOK, but I hope they could send this to him. Guys, you had a hell of a season, and you are really good players. There you go. That doesn't mean very much coming from me and the fan base, but I know that, okay? I watched the games. I know that you guys played to a good level. And it could be sad because you feel like, again, we all, I guess, strive for recognition in this world at whatever your job is. You want to get accommodations, and you want to be able to, or not accommodations, that's like going to a hotel. You want to get awards, and you want your boss to say great job and all. I don't know. I look at it, I don't think it's a reflection of the franchise, and I don't think it's a reflection of the fan base, and I think those guys are deserving to go. Pro Bowl doesn't mean anything, especially now. And they play these stupid games, and they want to say that it still matters. They need to put a product on TV. There is some network that paid money for the Pro Bowl games. I think it might be ESPN. But anyway, you're going to watch them play dodgeball. You're going to watch the linemen push a sled around and all that other kind of stuff.
You can bet on the Pro Bowl,
I'm
right?
sure you can.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can.
I've got to be, that's the only way they get people to watch.
Maybe we'll get a typical boost on that when time comes. I don't know. We'll post this as our Twitter question this morning, which I'm really interested to see how people react. Does it bother you when your players don't make all-star teams? Does it bother you that the Browns had snubs for the Pro Bowl? Just simple yes or no. Are you taking that to heart as a Browns fan, that they didn't get some of these guys in? Now, that being said, 5 is a decent number. 5 is a really good number. You had a lineman, you had a tight end, a receiver, a DB, and a pass rusher. It's not like it was all one position. You spread that around pretty good. That's deserving guys to go. And again, I think it's positive that we're even having the conversation that you had 3 or 4 or 5 other guys that deserve to go. And the only thing that could really change my tune on this is if one of these guys told me, like, man, I really wanted to go, and I would feel bad for him at that point, and I would try to sit there and tell them that it doesn't matter. All pro is the one thing that I will always look at. That means more.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the fans are easily swayed. I'll give you one guess who Pittsburgh Steelers fans didn't vote for. Myles Garrett. And you and me and everybody out there knows that he's not just a Pro Bowler. He is an All-Pro, and he's one of the best. But did you vote for T.J. Watt? No, you didn't, and I know you didn't. And that's fine because it's a part of being a fan. And the same thing and I know how the Pro Bowl, how that Pro Bowl goes? They have pieces of paper they hand out around the locker room. They might have a tablet now. They go around the locker room. Same thing. I'm assuming Browns fans, or Browns players, they're not voting for their opponents for that. This is not some sanctity holier than now list. They're like, yeah, whatever, screw that guy. Or, that guy cut blocked me earlier in the season. Screw him, I vote for him. You'd like to think people want to look at that and believe that that is an actual representation of how good you are. It's not.
Do you think we had some stolen voting ballots for the Pro Bowl?
Oh, people were, there's stuff in the ballot box over there. Lord knows we have enough of that in this world. Oh, there's stuff in the ballot box out there in San Francisco.
Somebody stole all the Browns ballot box.
I guess. Well, can I...
Recount.
Another part of that, another dangerous word in today's society there, young Ryan.
Fake election.
Okay, so here's another question that I was thinking about. Did you see it like Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy got the most votes of anybody? Is it weird that he only had 500,000? Think about that. Voting's been open for a couple of months, right?
I mean, yeah.
And it's the NFL.
How accurate can stuff be when you're voting on Twitter?
Well, that's the other thing. They got to have these algorithms. And then they had double points days, too, where votes counted twice, and you hit the retweets. And, I hit retweet on a couple of them, too, and I want to cast my vote for the Browns players that I think deserve to go. But that's the other thing. It becomes a marketing ploy for the teams. You watch the Cavs games, they are running a promo that says, send Donovan and Darius and Evan Mobley and Jared Allen to the All-Star game. Dude, Darius Garland and Evan Mobley ain't going to the All-Star game. But the team wants to promote that because it's good for the team. The other side of that, too, because I'm a tortured Columbus Blue Jackets fan. They get somebody. They're like baseball. Every team gets an all-star in the NHL. Their best chance is Zach Werenski, who's their defenseman that hasn't played in a month. He's hurt, and he's probably going to go. Maybe Johnny Hockey. Johnny Gaudreau might go. But that's where I don't get all tied up in it. And the reason that people do get tied up is because they tell you that it matters when it comes to Hall of Fame and when it comes to recognition and when it comes to who are the best players. Because what do you hear a lot of? This guy was an Mth team Pro Bowler, right? This guy was an Mth team All-Pro. And I really only care about All-Pro. But there are some positions, it's an easy metric. It's easy to say that this guy went to 6 Pro Bowls, and you would instantly think, oh, well, 6 years out of his career, he was one of the best players at his position. That's why I count for All-Pro. That's All-Pro are just the writers. I think just the writers. I don't even know if the players or the coaches vote on that. Pretty sure. So I guess from that standpoint, you would like your peers, the coaches and your fellow players to give you that kind of nod. I don't know, Ryan. I can't join people on that. But I respect the upset because you're passionate fans and you root for the Browns and you feel slighted. I'm just telling you, you don't need to feel slighted. You don't need to. This is meaningless. Outside of those guys potentially missing a bonus, which I don't want them to do, outside of those guys getting a chance to go, where is the Pro Bowl this year, by the way?
Oh, is it not always in Hawaii anymore?
No, they moved it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Maybe it's back there. I don't know. I have no idea.
Goes to show how much I care about it.
Oh, my God. Do you know where it is? It's at Camping World Stadium in Orlando. Who plays at the Camping World Stadium?
Mickey Mouse?
It's the Citrus Bowl. home to the college or the Florida Classic, and then the XFL team is there. Oh, UCF was there. And now the stadium has hosted the Pro Bowl for the last couple of years. Okay, fine. Ooh, great. And there were guys, you would hear stories from former players. I worked with Gerard Cherry for a long time. I love Gerard. And he would tell me there were guys back in the day when it was in Hawaii, they didn't want to go to the Pro Bowl. You want to know why? You got a small stipend as a player to go. But the problem is your whole family would go, hey, we just want a trip to Hawaii. You're going to the Pro Bowl. You got to take all of us with us. And Gerard told me that he had players that would lose money by going to the Pro Bowl because they had to pay for everybody else to come with them because it's a trip to Hawaii. They had to pay for a hotel. They had to pay for a flight and all that kind of stuff. And he goes, there were players that legitimately didn't want to go to the Pro Bowl because they knew their whole family wanted to come with them. So now you get to go get down to Orlando. I guess there's nothing prestigious about it. There is nothing prestigious about the Pro Bowl, especially for now what it is and the games they don't want to play because they don't want guys getting hurt, but they got to sell a TV product and all that kind of stuff. It's all about the All-Pro. So I'm very clearly voting no. On our Twitter question this morning, does it bother you when Browns players get snubbed from the Pro Bowl? I'm going to say no. It really doesn't. I feel bad again for those guys if they wanted to go or if they missed a bonus or things like that. But in totality, I know Jeremiah Wusu-Koromoa had a good game or a good season. I know MJ Emerson did. And you really know where those guys want that to matter when they sign their contracts. And when they go sit down with Andrew Berry to negotiate deals, Andrew Berry doesn't need Pro Bowl recognition and go, you know what, we got to short you $2 million here, man. You didn't make a Pro Bowl while you were here. No, they know how good they are. They know where they stack up against the rest of the league. That really doesn't matter. And the vast majority of players only really care, rightly so, is one thing. What's their, outside of winning as their team, but they care about their contracts. And contracts, you're not sitting down and go, oh, you made the Pro Bowl. You must be worth a lot more money. They know how good they are. They know how they're good. Ryan, I don't care. I'm trying to ease. I feel bad because I feel like I'm yelling at people that are angry about it. I'm trying to ease people's minds out there if you actually have a problem with it. Yeah. And I'm just telling you that there's a lot of reasons you don't need to. You're in the playoffs. And I do think there's an element. There's a lame duck game this weekend. There's not much to grab onto right now. And that's the news that came out. You get upset about it, and that's fine. But I have nothing for it. Ryan?
No, I mean, you took the words out of my mouth. Nobody's looking at a Pro Bowl selection in terms of if we're going to extend you and give you money. Nobody cares about that in the NFL.
Do you think it's a reflection of the fan base at all?
No.
I don't either.
Trust me, I'm not losing a lick of sleep at night. I would be a little bit upset, I guess. Not even upset, just kind of like, oh, that's kind of dumb. If the 5 guys that did make it didn't make it, because I think those 5 guys clearly were head above shoulders in their positions. So no, I could care less about a Pro Bowl.
And that's another great point. It becomes a name recognition thing where you vote for a guy just because you know, like, I keep knocking Kyle Juszczyk here, and I don't mean to, but like Kyle Juszczyk is always going to get votes for fullback. It's kind of a weird fluky position, and you just keep hearing Kyle Juszczyk. I don't want to say that's what happened with Joe Thomas because Joe Thomas was legitimately backing it up every single year. But yeah, you fall into that kind of trap of, yeah, this guy deserves to go. And there are players that have monumental seasons that make it. Okay, I say I don't care. But do you want to know one guy I looked to see if made it because I felt like he really deserved to? Devin Witherspoon, rookie corner for the Seattle Seahawks. And he made it. You got to have seasons like that where you come in and borderline like upset the establishment. You have a year. Like, did Puka Nacua made it, right? Yeah, I saw that from BYU, by the way, because they got 2. Puka and somebody else. I can't remember. But anyway, you got to have a season like that to come out and shock everybody to vote for you. And the same thing, Puka was a darling of the NFL for a little while. So when Joe and Gene Schmo sit down to cast their votes on the Pro Bowl, like, oh, I heard about this Puka guy. I know about him. I'll throw him a vote here. Why not? And he makes the Pro Bowl. Not knocking it, but it is what it is. There you go. All right, other things with the Browns. We're going to get Jeff Driscoll this weekend. It's the right call. It is 100% the right call to sit down Joe Flacco. That's not the debate that I was having yesterday. The debate was Myles Garrett. And the question was asked straight up to Kevin Stefanski yesterday. I want to pull up the transcript right now so I can get this question perfectly right. Because we had the question on our show yesterday. Would you play Myles Garrett if it meant he was going to win Defensive Player of the Year? Coach Stefanski yesterday, the question, quote, when you have somebody like Miles that has an opportunity to win Defensive Player of the Year, do you still rest him even though he can maybe get a couple more sacks in the game? Here's Kevin Stefanski's answer, sound courtesy of the Browns from yesterday.
I don't know that Miles needs to do anything more on a football field to convince anyone how important he's been to our football team. Said it before, I'll say it again. I mean, he's the best player on the best defense in the National Football League. That counts for something. And I would say just talk to the coaches that he goes against. Ask them what they think about him as a player, the type of impact he has on the game. So we'll see if he plays on Sunday. But I don't think should be a determining factor in any way, shape, or form.
You know, on that, because I made the case that I would ask Miles if he wants to play. And if that meant something to him. I'm sitting here saying the Pro Bowl doesn't matter to me. Defensive Player of the Year does. It does. MVP matters. Offensive Player of the Year matters. That matters to me. So I want him to cinch it up. Now, what Coach said there is basically he's done everything that he needs to do. And the coaches that vote on that, not even the coaches that vote on the AP votes on it. But it's not about going to ask the other coaches, right? He doesn't need some game in a meaningless game to go out there and get 2 sacks to further his candidacy for Defensive Player of the Year. Now, me personally, I feel like that would help. That would help. Now, God forbid he gets out there and twists an ankle and now he can't go for the wild card game. I understand why he's not playing, and the safe bet is for him to not play, and I'm not upset that he probably won't. But I would at least have that conversation with Miles. There's no way he's playing. There's no way Amari Cooper's playing. Coach said yesterday, he goes, I'm not going to go position by position and lay out the guys that are going to sit and they're going to start. You got to put somebody out there. Somebody's got to play. Myles Garrett's not going to. And that's the right call. I get that. I just really want him to win that award. He deserves that. This is not the Pro Bowl that I'm saying is useless. This is something different. That is stuff that is Hall of Fame caliber, ready to go. I don't want to make the blanket statement that if you win an MVP or a Defensive Player of the Year, that you're an automatic Hall of Famer, but at least your name is going to get brought up. You know what I mean?
I do wonder if there's anybody that has one MVP that hasn't gone in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, hang on. I'm going to pull up the list right now.
That's a good question.
I'm going to pull up the list right now. We'll run through it. Like multiple ones, there's no question, right? There is absolutely no question. But more recently, you ready? See, like Lamar Jackson's going to win his second. He's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he is.
Rodgers, Mahomes, Brady. All right. Matt Ryan. I would say not a Hall of Famer. And he won the MVP in 2016.
Oh, true. Cam Newton as well.
Cam Newton was the year before. He's the next one to bring up. Yep.
Yeah. I didn't think about that. Yeah, Cam certainly not.
And both those guys did what? Went to a Super Bowl and lost.
Yeah.
One more interesting than the other. Do you still think of Matt Ryan? Do you still think 28-3? I do.
Yeah, I mean,
Can I stop everything real quick? That cringe Matt Ryan. Have you seen that Matt Ryan, that Matty Ice commercial?
No.
Oh my God, is it bad? Holy cow. It's a commercial because his nickname is Matty Ice, right? So the gimmick is that he's driving an ice cream truck and these kids come up and he tells them about Spectrum or AT&T or bad marketing because I can't even tell you what it is. Dude, it is so bad. It is so cringe and really cringe on his part. I can't even tell you a game I watched that he was on isn't he broadcasting this year?
Yeah, he's been broadcasting, but
I haven't seen him.
He's the same dude who also blew that regular season game as a Colts quarterback to Vikings when Jeff Saturday was there. It was like, that was what, a 30-point comeback? That was even worse than that Super Bowl.
Right. So Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, Adrian Peterson.
Yes.
He's going to go?
Okay. Yes, dude.
LaDainian Tomlinson is in, is he not?
I don't. Has he been out long enough?
Yeah. Yeah, he's in.
Yeah.
He's in the pro and college football of him.
He was CMC, I feel like.
CMC before CMC?
Before CMC, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, CMC.
Marshall Faulk was probably before both of those guys, and I would say it was like Faulk, then maybe a little Yeah, but dude, that LT, not the other one. LaDainian Tomlinson, like those Chargers teams, they had it cooking, man. And I agree. Like Sean Alexander, these are running backs too, which are different. Unfortunately, RIP, Steve McNair won that co-MVP that year with Peyton Manning. And I don't think he's making the
What year was that? Like 2003?
2003. 2003. Rich Gannon won one. He ain't going. Marshall Faulk, as we mentioned. Kurt Warner's in. Terrell Davis is in. Is he not? Yeah, he's in. So I would say that, like, for the most part, yeah, of all the years, they've been handing out the NFL MVP since 1957. The AP won. Who won the first one, by the way?
Oh, God. No idea.
Back to back. Won it in 57 and 58. The first two NFL MVPs awarded by the Associated Press was won by this player.
What was
You already said him on the show. You've already said him on the show. Yeah.
Today?
Yeah.
I said a dude that's Lou Groza?
No, close.
I was like, whose name did I say today that's old?
You said Lou Groza and who else?
Oh, Jim Brown.
Jim Brown.
Oh, I didn't know.
Jim Brown. Jim Brown won the first
I
two
didn't know
MVPs.
that.
Yes, he did. Yep, 57 and 58. He won the first two AP MVPs, 3-time, excuse me. He won them back in 65 as well. So I would say yes, the MVP usually, at least it gets you the conversation like that. But I feel like the same thing for Defensive Player of the Year. That is your MVP for defense. You win that, you're in the conversation. Miles is going to finish things out as in the conversation anyway. He wins Defensive Player of the Year. I think you rubber stamp that. He's going to be going to Canton one day. That matters to me. DPOY matters to me. I understand why coach isn't going to play him, but we'll see. Let's get Noah Weiskopf's opinion on that. He's going to join us next from the OBR. We'll talk about Miles and his candidacy for DPOY, who's starting, who's sitting, what Joe Flacco has meant to this team, and, of course, Pro Bowl snubs. And I can't wait to get Noah's answer on this. Which team do you want to face this weekend? Which team? Not this weekend. I know who we're facing this weekend. It's the JV squad for the Bengals. Who do you want to face in 2 weeks when it comes to the wild card? We'll get all of Noah's thoughts on that. He will join us next. Folks, Tipico, dude. 2 points in an Isaac Okoro 3 cost us last night. We're close on our boost, folks. We love our friends at Tipico. They're the absolute best. If you haven't signed up yet, and I know this, and I'm just going to speak real for everybody out there. The vast majority of you probably have multiple sports books, right? And you kind of bounce around and you try to use up those promo codes and you see. If you haven't tried Tipico yet, download the app, use the code BIGPLAY100. You deposit and bet $25. You get $100 in bonus bets. And what I think will set it apart than the other ones, the interface is so easy to use. It's one of my favorite things about it. But also the boosts. And we're going to do a boost almost every day. We're going to do an NBA boost tonight. We'll reveal it at the end of the show. And what they do is, like, do you want to know my favorite one for tonight in the NBA? So you got a big matchup tonight against the Bucks and the Spurs. Big relative. It's a 9.5-point spread, but it's Wembanyama taking on Giannis Antetokounmpo. They have a boost up to plus 200. You bet $100, you win $200. You get $300 back for Wembanyama and Giannis to both record a double-double tonight. I love that. I love it. Put $5 on it, and you're going to sit down and watch that game with a little more interest tonight. We love our friends at Tipico. They're the best. Again, use that code BIGPLAY100 when you sign up. You get those bonus bets when you deposit and bet $25, and you can bet the boost with us all season long. We'll get to our NFL picks tomorrow. Good weekend for us this past weekend. Great stuff there. So sign up with our friends at Tipico. We got Noah Weiskopf, OBR. He'll come your way next right here. Fontana Show on Big Play. back here, Fontana Show on Big Play. We bring in Noah Weiskopf, OBR. Follow him on Twitter and Instagram. Browns with Noah. First off, Noah, Happy New Year. Appreciate you joining us for the first time here in 2024. And the big thing we're talking about this morning, what we started with, was the Pro Bowl. And last night, Browns got some snubs. They got the 5 in. So I'm just going to ask our question this morning. Does it bother you when the Browns get snubbed for the Pro Bowl in some respects with some players?
Me personally, I think it is what it is, but I will say that I feel for some of the guys, depending on circumstance, for a guy like Dustin Hopkins to miss the Pro Bowl over Justin Tucker with the stats clearly showing that he's done pretty much everything better this season. I think that for him, it kind of sucks, to be honest. And for a first career Pro Bowl kind of thing, I think that it's a really nice honor. I know that a lot of the guys, I know they interviewed some guys yesterday on NFL Network, like Kyle Juszczyk kind of said that, the first one is special, but after that, each one is special, but it kind of all meshes together a little bit. But for the guys that would have had their first one that really should have been in, I kind of feel for them. But for guys that are older veterans that already have 4 or 5 under their belt, I don't think they care at all.
And there is something, and an element that I know you are up on as much as I'm, that there are sometimes incentives that contracts are kind of built now. But I don't know, no, I feel like that is kind of going away even too in today's NFL, where the Pro Bowl, it's more statistical incentives that people get because they know it can be really fluky, and they know that sometimes that is not the true representation of how good of a player you really are.
Yeah, 100%. And I think too, when it comes contract extension time, stuff like that, especially when you're re-signing with your own team, guys like Andrew Berry in this front office know what they have with some of these players. Pro Bowl is not going to make or break a deal. A guy like Emerson, a guy like JOK, even a guy like Dustin Hopkins, when it comes contract extension time, he knows how much they mean to the Browns, and I don't think it's going to be any sort of issue to extend those guys, and they're going to keep playing really well. And I know that a lot of those guys take it to social media a little bit, but yeah, again, like I feel for a guy like Dustin Hopkins, who I think Tucker was 1 for 5 this year, 50 plus. Hopkins was 5 for 5, and then everything else is really, really close. So I think just that alone should have probably sent Hopkins. Maybe missing last week didn't help him, but it is what it is.
Off of that, Noah Weiskopf joining us of OBR. All right, I gotta ask, who was the biggest? Here I am saying, like, it doesn't really matter, and it's not that big of a deal. It sounds like you're gonna go with Dustin Hopkins here as your biggest snub for the Browns. Anybody else that you really have like an issue with?
Yeah, I think Dustin Hopkins would be the biggest one by far to me.
Fair enough. And I mean, Jeremiah Usikoromoa, young player, he's got a lot of time. MJ Emerson. I mean, I'll put it this way, and it doesn't ease things for MJ, but I'm like, dude, you're a 3rd-round pick that is even in this consideration. Like, that is a home run. And I know Andrew Berry can look down and say, man, I drafted this guy and I was able to re-sign this guy and he's got his fingerprints all over this. But, the fact the Browns got 5 in with another 5 or 6 alternates, I think that speaks to how strong this roster really is.
Yeah, Emerson had a great year. There's no doubt. But the thing that stuck out to me this season was penalties. He had a lot of defensive penalties.
Dude, is he still the #1 penalized player in the NFL? I'm not trying to rip MJ, but there was a time where I think he was the most penalized player in the NFL.
Yeah, and a lot of those you're going to live with. It's a guy like L'Jarius Sneed. He is one of the NFL's best corners, but he is penalized a ton. When you play physical like that, that's just the risks you run. And more times than not, he's making great plays, but also being penalized a lot. And that's not a stat necessarily that you'll look up in ESPN and see like one of his, you're going to look at how many tackles, interceptions, all that kind of stuff, passes defended. But those kind of advanced analytics, he's really, really solid in. And then, you look at penalties and he has a lot.
Speaking of the advanced analytics, that seems to be one of the pillars for Myles Garrett to win Defensive Player of the Year. It's not the sack total necessarily, but it's the pass rush win rate. It's all these other things that he's meant. We had the conversation about if he should play this weekend to bolster his stats. He is the favorite to win the award, but it's not a runaway right now like it is with Lamar. Where do you stand, Noah, with Myles winning Defensive Player of the Year? Do you think he's got it locked up no matter – we all know he's not going to play this weekend, but do you think he has it locked up? Would you consider putting him out there for a series or two to try to pad some stats? Where do you stand with all that?
I don't think he has it locked up. To me, it's such a sack-dominated stat, and I think he's like 6th in sacks right now, and I don't anticipate him playing this weekend. So I think that's probably where he's going to stand. I think that's sort of why you got Kevin Stefanski yesterday coming out and saying, look, Like, regardless if he plays next weekend, he should still be the defensive player of the year. He's proved it all season. I do think that he's definitely in consideration. I think that it's not all because of sacks, whoever wins it, but I think that it has a heavy impact on it. So I guess we'll kind of see with that. He'll definitely be one of the finalists. And I do not, like I said, I don't think he's going to play this weekend, and I absolutely think that's the right move.
And we've heard Coach more recently and even yesterday continue to make that pitch. He's the best player on the best defense in the NFL, and that seems to be their real push for Miles because that matters to me. You know, as much as I don't care about the Pro Bowl, I care about all pros, but no, that is a big award for me. And I really, really want Myles Garrett to win that, and I hope he does because that's an important award in my opinion.
100%, and important to him as well. Obviously, playoff wins. Obviously, Super Bowl tops everything. But you know, he's had it on his bucket list since he came into the NFL. That was one of the things that he wanted to do. One of his main goals, alongside winning the Super Bowl, is win the Defensive Player of the Year award. It's a huge deal. So I mean, we'll see if he wins it or not. But yeah, I don't see him adding anything to that this weekend. And you know, I think that you can kind of prove as to why he shouldn't play based on fluke injuries to guys like Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips. Like, Jalen Phillips got hurt and ruptured his Achilles literally just coming off the ball. It can happen to anyone. It's really scary for NFL guys. And I think that's just another point, is to be like, you know, there's no reason to play Myles Garrett to hope that he gets another 1-2 sacks.
People would diminish too, right? No, they'd be like, oh, he's just out there to pad the stats, or he's out there up against, you know, backup quarterback and Jake Browning and all that kind of stuff. I mean, people would rip the stats, or even if he got a couple of sacks in that game.
Right. Yeah, it's just not a smart move. I think that his season stats-wise is probably coming to an end for the regular season.
No, let's talk about the game. We'll open this up here because I think it's going to be a long list. I'm going to let you run through here, and we'll talk through it too. The guys that have no business playing. Now, as Coach said yesterday, there will be some of these guys that suit up. Just in a break glass in case of emergency, we're running out of guys. At that point, grab me out of the stands, and I'll come on down, and I'll go out there and just get beat up. I'd tear an ACL if it meant that Myles didn't have to play in that game. That's fine. Take mine, not his. So let's run through the list of guys, in your opinion, that no question about it, they should not be playing on Sunday. However you want to go offense, defense first. Noah, lay it out for us. The guys, in your opinion, have no business playing on Sunday.
Okay, I'll start with offense, just the ones that come to mind. Flacco's not playing for me. Amari Cooper, no way. Elijah Moore, I don't think I'm going to have him play unless it's for a little bit and he clears concussion protocol. That was a really scary injury.
It was, yeah.
Not having him play. Joel Bitonio, no chance he's starting. Ethan Posich and Wyatt Teller for me are probably going to be no plays. David Njoku, probably not for the offense.
Okay.
I think you really treat this as like a preseason game. I do.
Then defensively, what do you think? Ward? What about like MJ? You know, because you would say Ward, Newsome, and MJ all sit. And then the other one is D-line, because I'd like to sit Shelby and Dalvin, but I need bodies out there, because that's the other thing. No, I mean, what we name there, 8 guys on offense.
Yeah.
I could give you 7, 8 guys on defense. Some of these guys are going to have to play, right?
Yep. For defense, I do not think it's as many. I think it's Denzel Ward, you're not playing. Myles Garrett, you're not playing. Zadarius Smith, you're going to play a little bit. I think that other than that, Greg Newsome, Emerson, I think that they should probably both be out there. I think that probably those two are out there. Obviously, both young safeties are going to start and probably shine. I think JOK probably should be out there.
Okay.
As for defense, like I said, I think it's Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward. You guys are done. But other than that, I think the guys are playing. And if you could take some of those guys out mid-game, be cautious. That's great. Rotate those D linemen more than you usually do. But other than that, I think everyone's probably out there.
Give us an injury update, please. Noah Weiskopf joining us, OBR. Follow him on Twitter and Instagram, Browns with Noah. The big thing are the specialists, not so much for this weekend, Noah, but, dude, am I going to get Dustin Hopkins back for a week from Sunday or Saturday? I guess we play in that game for the wild card. Like, how concerned should I be that we might not have Hopkins for a playoff game?
I wouldn't be too concerned right now. I think that the anticipation is that he's back for the playoffs. Him and Bajorquez also. I know, it's big.
Good,
They're
thank God.
big deals.
No offense to Riley Patterson or anything like that, but thank God.
None taken. Yeah.
Can I? No, Dustin Hopkins contract extension too, right? Is that and frankly, Bajorquez, right? Do these guys not need deals?
I don't see either of them leaving Cleveland. I think that both of them are probably going to remain. I mean,
Good.
Yeah, they've both had incredible seasons, truly. So, and like again, guys like Phil Dawson that come to mind, like he didn't come to Cleveland as like a crazy Justin Tucker light kicker, like an automatic guy. Like he came in Cleveland kind of like Dustin Hopkins did. It just proved himself.
Phil was
And
discarded by another team just like Dustin was. You know, they won the 100%. He came in with the expansion team. You're right on with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that Dustin Hopkins, I think he's like 33. I think that he's probably got 6-7 years left to kick. And if he's going to continue to kick like he has, looks like he's got the dog pound end and the Brown Stadium kind of down kicking wise. And it's not an easy thing to do. But, if he has that down, he'll be kicking here until he's retired.
Phil was with the Raiders and the Patriots practice squad before the Browns signed him as a free agent in March of 1999. So there he is. And there's something to be said, too. You mentioned Phil when it comes to Dustin Hopkins. He needs to make kicks, and I know that this franchise, or the fan base at least, we can turn when you miss two or something like that. But the fact that he has won them over, that gives you a little bit of that breathing room. If he hooks a 55-yarder, we're not sitting there up in arms because he's just built that cachet up a little bit. And I know that it's more the front office, but for the kickers and the quarterbacks, those are two positions that when the fans are behind you, I think that helps a lot. I really do.
A ton. And when they're not behind you, it hurts a lot and more than people think.
No, we got some games this weekend that we'll keep an eye on just to see how things shake out with AFC South. We know we're going to face the AFC South champion, whether it's the Jags, Houston, or the Colts. We have that interesting fact that we beat all three of those teams in all kind of different ways. Who would be the team you would rather face and have to go on the road to take on? Of those three teams, which one would you want to see a week from this weekend?
Yeah, I actually have an in-depth piece coming out probably today on the OBR, just this exact question, ranking all three of those teams. But I'll tell you guys,
a little bit. Yeah, just give us a little. I don't want to throw your article away. No, just give us a little teeny tiny bit if you don't mind.
Yeah, no. So Kevin Stefanski's 10-0 against AFC South teams in his career as a Browns head coach. I think that's really telling, and I think that no matter which team they play, they're going to be able to put themselves in a great position to win. To me, number one team that the Browns should want to play is the Colts. I don't know how likely that will be, but I'll put that as my one. And then two, I think the middle team that they shouldn't rather play first, but also shouldn't be like, shoot, we have to play them, is the Jaguars. Surprisingly, I think a lot of people put the Texans there, but I'll have a bunch of in-depth stuff on why and stats and all that kind of stuff should be out later today.
All right, check that out. Tell everybody where.
The OBR.com.
OBR.com.
I'll tweet it out on Browns with Noah and everything.
There you go. No, anything else we're getting ready for? Again, it's going to be Jeff Driscoll. I said the joke that Kevin Stefanski now gets to say he started 5 quarterbacks and took a team to the playoffs. Is there really a future with Driscoll? I know people are discussing Joe Flacco's future. I think I don't know. I have a take, and I said this on the show yesterday. I think it's best that Joe Flacco actually moves on because you don't want to muddy those waters when Deshaun Watson comes back. And it's just people will still love Flacco. It's just, when you got 2, you don't have 1. I think Flacco's gone. The question is, guys like Jeff Driscoll, I know they already saw PJ Walker. Just your intrigue on seeing Driscoll this weekend and why you think the Browns decided to go with him over PJ Walker.
I think it's partly because they had to sign him to the active roster. He was on a practice squad, and that was the way that they could get him. And he has a lot of experience with AVP, the offensive coordinator. I think that was a huge part in it, the driving factor. But yeah, they'll see what he has. I think that if he comes out and shows that he throws a couple picks, he does not look good, I don't think there's any reason as to why they can't say, PJ Walker, you're the backup for the playoffs. But going back to the Joe Flacco thing, I think that might be the number one question heading into the offseason. And the biggest debate on all sports shows, everything like that, is whether or not they should keep Flacco. I think that for Flacco, if he could find another good situation in a bridge type quarterback, I don't know if that's going to be in the offseason. That might be during the regular season again, kind of like he did this year. But if he's able to find one of those jobs with another team, I think that's probably in his best interest. But if you're the Browns, man, how can you let Joe Flacco go and not want him as a backup? I don't know if he'll want to take that job. But, if he's able to win you a playoff game or two, or say even make it to the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl, anything like that, how can you let a quarterback like that go? If 3 years ago, 4 years ago, or after the 0-16 season, I tell you that in 2023, the Browns had a quarterback that took him to the Super Bowl.
I
And
know.
the next season, he was on another team. You know,
Dude,
what would you say?
Because no, they have to. They have to. We know how that, dude, the debate, the second Deshaun Watson makes a wrong step, let alone throw an interception, people are going to be freaking out. We would have the debate to the nth degree that Flacco should be your starter from the jump. And the thing is, there would actually be reasoning behind it, legitimate, lucid reasoning on why. But I know that I have no choice but to start Deshaun Watson. They have no choice but to start him. So I would almost say, like, which sucks, like, Joe, dude, we can't have you here from a like a distraction standpoint. You know what I mean? Which sucks. I get what you're saying, but it's like, I feel like the Browns' hands are tied in this. I do.
Yeah, and this goes back to the impact on fans getting behind a player. We talked about the kicker, but the quarterback as well. I mean, if you have Joe Flacco as your QB2 and Watson comes out, say week 1, and throws a pick on the second drive of the game, fans are going to immediately be calling for Flacco to go back in.
Right.
I mean, it's just it is what it is, and that's what's going to happen. And it's not that I don't think Flacco loves the city of Cleveland already, but you know, he doesn't necessarily owe anything to Cleveland. After this season, he's going to do all he can to lead them to a Super Bowl. There's no question about that. But after this season, you can't blame the guy for not wanting to stay here and take a backup job. You know, he's going to probably get a starting job somewhere else. Again, I don't know if that's going to be at the beginning of the season or he's going to have to wait again until the middle of the season. I think a team could really use him as a bridge type of quarterback that's almost already established a little bit if they're going to take another one. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. It's going to be a huge debate point, and I really don't know where the Browns are going to go at this point.
Final thing, no, Dalvin Cook. I said no. I know he's got fresh legs, and there's been a lot of yesterday about, oh, don't look at his stats with the Jets or what the Jets offense was. I just come from the standpoint of you give him what, maybe 6 carries in a game, and I don't really need a distraction of trying to get him up to speed on the playbook. And I know Kevin Stefanski was his offensive coordinator back in Minnesota. I get all that. I would probably say no to Dalvin Cook. What would you say?
Yeah, personally, I actually would disagree. I think that you do it. I think that you're probably at this point you could even probably sign him to the practice squad if he's willing to come to Cleveland. I think it's ultimately, he clears waivers today at 4, so I don't think anyone's going to claim him. I'd be shocked if someone claims him. So it's going to be a choice that he's able to make, and I don't think that it's going to happen. I think that he's going to prefer to go to a Baltimore Ravens, Dallas Cowboys type of team. But you know, I think that if he's willing to go to Cleveland, you bring him here. And I think that it's a very, very low risk, high reward. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler. I know that he's getting up there a little in age. He didn't have a good season this year, but again, it's all relative to his situation. For me, how much worse can this run game get? I know it picked up a little bit of steam, but why not try out a guy who has the experience of going over 100 yards back-to-back weeks, I imagine? Why not try a guy who's been there, who's had great seasons? Like, why not? To me, it's a very, very low risk, high reward. The only argument that I can see against it is you're not going to be able to keep 4 running backs on your active roster for the playoffs. So you're not going to be able to have Cook, Hunt, Jerome Ford, and Pierre Strong. And obviously, the guy that would probably be out is Pierre Strong. But the thing there is he plays a lot of special teams, and Dalvin Cook is not a guy for that. So I think that's your main reason against it. And if they don't do it, I think that's going to be a driving factor.
No, always appreciate your time, man. Everybody check out his article later today discussing the team that he wants to see the Browns play in the wild card, OBR.com, Browns with No on Twitter and Instagram. Enjoy the season finale this weekend, man, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Thanks for having me. You too.
There you go. Noah Weiskopf. I mean, Cook, he made me think about it a little bit. I still lean no. I still think it's just too, like, I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if they did it. I really wouldn't be shocked if they did it, because it's a position that you can't instantly say, oh, yeah, we're good. You know, you could use that there. How many carries are you going to get? What are you going to do? And especially with Joe Flacco, if he's going to keep throwing it 35, 40 times in the game, you only need a couple of guys to run the ball. And I'm fine with Jerome Ford. He brought up a good point of Pierre Strong there at the running back position. You know, him talking about 2 of the contract extensions, and I felt really good that he said he feels like we're going to get Dustin Hopkins for that playoff game, because, oh boy, do we. That's been under the radar, I feel like, Ryan, over the last couple of weeks, you know, with everything. you need your kickers and you need your special teams when it comes to playoffs. I mean, a lot of times, yeah, you got to have talented guys, but if you're committing penalties, you're turning the football over, and you don't have sound special teams, you're not winning playoff games. I need Dustin Hopkins bad for whoever we face. I'm kind of with him on his. I'm really interested to read his article later today. I'm kind of with him. I would lean. I guess I'm conditioned that it's going to be Jacksonville. I'd love to play the Colts. I think the Colts are the most vulnerable. I guess maybe not. Jags are hurt. They're banged up. And maybe seeing what Trevor Lawrence does or doesn't do this weekend, I see a path to all three. Like, it's not like you're trying to avoid the Ravens, right? You would feel semi-confident in all of those teams. The other thing is not just who we're going to face, but I'm going to be rooting a lot to see how the seeding plays out, Ryan. Because, man, would I like one of those teams to upset upset the Dolphins or the Chiefs so we can avoid Baltimore in week 2 of the playoffs. I'm not running scared. It's the playoffs. It's all going to be hard. But I'm interested to see how I don't want to say this. You're going to clip this, and this will live in infamy. I'm borderline rooting for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Because I think they would give a better game than the Colts or the Texans up against Miami or the Kansas City Chiefs. I hate that I said that. It's dirty.
Well,
dirty, but it's my own self-interest is the reason that I'm doing that.
Before we even jump ahead to that, it might not even be Miami. It might be Buffalo that wins that division.
Yeah, then Miami would be a wild card. You're right. I keep forgetting about Buffalo. You're right. Yeah, you're right. You're right, because they're going to be hot and heavy in that. Same thing, like, And the whole point I'm bringing up is you want a lower seed to win because then they would go face Baltimore. So you want the 6 or 7 seed to get it done. Yeah, man, I forgot about Buffalo because they're a game up technically. You're right, so they're going to make it. So here's how it lays out.
Well,
right?
if Buffalo loses and the Steelers win, Buffalo doesn't get in.
Oh, that's right. They have the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. Yeah, there's a lot of intrigue this weekend for games. Again, for a game that doesn't really matter for us.
Isn't that just nuts to think about, though? The Bills win.
Well,
they win their division. They lose. They might not even make the playoffs.
I mean, that's the crazy thing about how they handle the tiebreakers. And I guess it's better than like a coin toss going back to Friday Night Lights. If you make it or not with a coin toss, like I get that. That's fine. But, yeah. I mean, you know the answer to the question. Just expand the playoffs. They're going to expand the regular season. How many more playoffs could you do? 2 buys? What if you did 8 teams make it, and then you had now 2 buys instead of 7? I'd sign up for that. Are you Well, then at that point, you are in the NBA realm, right? Where over half the teams are going to make it.
I don't really like that.
You got to have something matter in the regular season. And they said, and eventually we're going to go to that 18-game schedule. They're going to 2 preseason, 18 regular season. That'll be coming sooner rather than later. Maybe that'll dice things up a little bit more too. Because here's another weird thing. As they redo the regular season, should they not then redo the tiebreakers? Should they not come up with better tiebreakers? And I know it's not always as simple as you beat this team, or who they beat and how you beat them and all that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of ins and outs. And the nice thing is we get to sit back as a team that's already clinched our spot, sitting here fat up at the top of the throne going, yeah, fight it out down there. What do we care? We're the 5 seed. It's great. But there's still games that matter. There are still going to be games that matter for this to watch how the Browns play out in their postseason path, potentially, to that AFC Championship. All right, so let's catch a break coming up. I want to get to the morning update. We got more fallout from this Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy Kimmel thing. We'll get to that coming up. Cavs with a nice win last night. Want to jump into some wine and gold. And also coming up in hour 2, Bill Barnwell went through all of the NFL contenders' biggest weaknesses. So as good as the Browns have been, there's something that they're not great at. I'll tell you what it is, and also the teams, according to Bill, that you want to avoid in the playoffs. Chris Sims said on Sunday Night Football, he would say the Browns in Wild Card Weekend would be the one team he would want to avoid. Spill Barnwell say the same thing. And the one thing the Browns need to clean up heading into the playoffs. We got all that coming up right here on the Fontana Show. Last night, Drennan on location. How'd that go? It looked all right. I watched it for a few minutes last night.
It was good. I put up a meme about teaching.
Does Bruce know what a meme is?
Oh, hell no.
No. Okay.
Teaching what an Ethernet cord was. Have you seen that meme of the dude with his veins popping
Yeah.
out?
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Bruce got it figured out. He is on location, but bonus time last night with Bruce Drennan. Always a great time. On Thursdays, it's just us and Chico. So we're on 9 to noon, or 9 to 12. Excuse me. Noon starts Chico, 12 to 2 there on his show today. But then tomorrow, big play, big bets. Dave and Nick and Ted Ginn Jr. show. Still going strong with Bobby Carpenter show. Can I not, is it official, the Cincinnati thing?
Yeah.
They got a show rolling, right?
Yeah.
Folks, we're down in Cincinnati now. Shout out to James Rapine.
Enter the Jungle.
Enter the Jungle. So we have a brand new show.
See, episode 2 dropped last night.
There you go. All right, so there you go. So Inside the Jungle, it's an all Bengals show.
Enter the Jungle.
Enter the Jungle. I'm sorry. What did I say? Inside the Jungle?
Inside the Jungle.
Sounds like
Not
inside
as scary.
Not as scary. Enter the Jungle. Their brand new show down there. We're branching out here in big play. Some real, I hate to use the pun, big things coming here in 2024. It's going to be a massive year for us here at Big Play. So we venture down to Cincinnati. We got other big things coming as well. But don't forget, easiest place to go is just Big Play. Follow us on Twitter there. You can see all the shows. We retweet all of them. All the shows have their individual accounts. So congratulations to everybody involved there with Cincinnati. All right, when we come back, morning update. Ryan's got all the stories you got to know. Stay with us. Hour 2 upon us right here in Big Play. All right, back here on the Fontana Show. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram at Matt Fontana Show. We're approaching 500 finally there on the Twitter side of things. Drop us a follow there.
Our Instagram, 500.
Oh, nice. All right. At Matt Fontana Show.
To be fair, it was $4.99 last time I checked.
That's fine.
So.
That's fine. I'm sure we'll get there. Instagram is the spicier comments. We put that Donovan Mitchell clip up there, and some guy goes, "Bro, you don't know basketball. You suck." I'm like, all right. I did click on his bio. He's a Knicks fan. So I go, "Oh, are you upset that you didn't get Donovan Mitchell? Is that how that goes?"
He's coping.
That's fine. Follow us on all the social media platforms: Instagram, Twitter, Matt Fontana Show, YouTube channel, Matt Fontana Show, and of course, Big Play. We retweet it all, and we're on the Big Play channel there as well. On YouTube, check us out, and of course, the iHeart app. Download that. Take it where you need to go. Let's get to it. Morning update. Ryan's got the stories. I got the takes.
Cavs put a spell on the Wizards, Matt. A 140 burger in Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse.
Stop. Really? Really?
Oh, because my pun? That's a great pun.
It's a fantastic one. Low hanging fruit.
I gotta take it.
We're a
when I can
highbrow
get
show
it.
here. Come on.
No, we're not.
What are you doing?
No, we're
What are you
not.
doing?
No, we're
Put
not.
the spell on the. Make a Harry Potter reference. We're gonna have a meeting after
Somebody
the
at
show.
home appreciated what I just said.
I'm sure they did. You make a Harry Potter reference, and we're gonna have a lot of trouble there. Continue on though. Are you gonna say it again?
Cavs put a spell on the Wizards. They put up a 140 burger at home at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, Matt.
39-point win is a great one. Strus came back around, which is nice to see. I feel like the Cavs have a bunch of guys that are like they're going to go 2 bad games and then light it up for a third one there. Listen, the Wizards are a bad team, and you played with them a little bit, and then you just throttled them, and there was really no question on the way out. You played pretty much everybody in that game, which was great to see. Tristan got some tick. I mean, the thing is, how the Cavs are going to have to win, it's borderline like that. 17 from Allen, including a massive 19 rebounds in that game. What did we say yesterday?
I was worried about 13.
Dude, we were worried about 13. Wizards, the worst rebounding team in basketball. Remember that for tomorrow night, by the way. The problem is he got 19. His over-under is going to be like 15 and a half. Yeah. We'll get to our boost tomorrow. But anyway, you had 17, a double-double from Allen. Did you know he had a double-double in the third quarter alone in that game last night?
Probably his best game of the season,
Oh,
honestly.
yeah. And then you had 20-plus from Karras, Donovan, and Strus. The thing was, Karras was out there late in that game, and I was like, why is he still in this game?
Dude, I was on Twitter, three straight tweets. My whole feed was, Karis LeVert sucks. Karis LeVert is showing like he's the biggest wish-wash player. Like, Karis LeVert is awful. And I didn't watch the first quarter, Matt, so I clicked on the game. I'm like, oh, God, what's he going to do? And then he just starts bawling.
Oh, yeah, he hit that 3 when he was falling down and all that kind of stuff. The thing about that game last night, those kind of calm the waters. Like, you had a 2-game losing streak, fine, but now this team can feel like we should beat the crap teams. We feel like we should beat the bad teams in the NBA, even without some of our best players. It's the confidence, it's the momentum, and they're finding a way, which is good. No reason they shouldn't win again tomorrow night. We'll see what the line is for tomorrow. But take care of business here. Get some of these wins. Stack them up as best that you can.
Browns got 5 Pro Bowlers announced last night. Joel Bitonio, David Njoku, Amari Cooper, Myles Garrett, and Denzel Ward. A couple of snubs that some Cleveland fans thought, with the likes of MJ Emerson and JOK, but the Browns will be pretty represented Pro Bowl weekend.
Yeah, our question this morning, are you upset when Browns get, snubbed from the Pro Bowl? 57-43 people say no. Fats Homer on Twitter says Pro Bowl is no longer the prestige like it used to be. DJ Mammoth Music, the only thing noteworthy for me would be if they didn't reach that incentive check had they earned it for such a season and it was built in for a major sweetener as a contract bonus. I agree with you, DJ Mammoth there on Twitter, because I said that. I want these guys to make it. I want these guys to get their contracts. I would look at an agent and say, dude, don't put those in the contract anymore. Like, they don't mean anything. But you see it across the league. Like, Antoine Winfield Sr. is out there, not campaigning, but like his son, Antoine Winfield Jr., is one of the best safeties in football. He is probably going to be an all-pro, but he didn't make the Pro Bowl. Like, that's the craziest thing when you look at all-pro and you say some of these guys are going to. Wyatt Teller is probably going to be a second-team all-pro guard, and he doesn't make the Pro Bowl. I don't. No, never mind. I want to do it. There's a world that he's having a better season than Joel Bitonio. There is. Like, I think Wyatt Teller has been incredible this year. I think he has had a fantastic season. And he make the Pro Bowl. So what? He's going to make the All-Pro, but I think there's a world he's even having a better year than Joel Bitonio. So take that for what it's worth.
There could be a report later this week, Matt, that Kansas State transfer Will Howard might be suiting up for the Buckeyes here come the 2024 season.
That's your savior, Ryan? Not you, not that Ryan, the other Ryan. Ryan Day. No, Ryan Day. That is your savior? That Will Howard? Mo Howard Shemp? Is that who this is? That's unfair of me to do. I'm sorry. I don't know anything about Will Howard. I didn't watch Kansas State. We ran through some of his stats the other day. All right. Because you know he's starting. So if, like, whatever. And I said this about the transfer portal. This comes out, he's going to come to Ohio State. You're Aaron Nolan. You go, all right, well, I thought I was going to be able to compete for this job. And you know these coaches, which is another phony part about college. You know when they sat down with Will Howard, they said, there's going to be a quarterback competition. Wink, 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 wink. They know who the starter is going to be. And they can try to sell that and give a bill of sale over to Aaron Nolan to say, oh, no, man, you come in and compete for this job. We know it's rigged. And you know that Will Howard's going to take it. Then the NIL money and all the dirtiness. You see Colin McCord came out and said it was a business decision why he left Columbus? Okay.
Did you hear the report that Colin McCord's dad went to Ryan Day and asked him to guarantee that Kyle will have the starting job?
Yeah, I ain't doing that.
Where you get those balls?
Well, it's I could go off on a whole tangent about parents and their kids and athletics and stuff like that. I mean, trust me, I'm a father, and I'm sure if my son was playing at Ohio State and I thought he got wronged, I would have some issues with it, certainly. The business decision thing, a business decision because there's two schools of thought. With Kyle McCord saying that he left Columbus because it was a business decision. It was either a business decision for the NIL right now, or it was a business decision to get him to the NFL. I guess Syracuse is just the magic elixir for him. So he'll get his NIL money, maybe have a better chance to go to the NFL. I don't know. The thing about the transfer for Will Howard coming in, he's only got 1 year eligibility. You're doing this all again next year. Are you going to go get some number one quarterback next year? It's just a perpetual cycle that the transfer portal is just screwing people over. And I don't think the teams understand. I don't know if the teams understand that. Like, by kicking the can down the road, by continuing to say, all right, we'll just keep going to this, we'll keep going. You're not developing these guys. You're just not. Aaron Nolan might actually be your savior quarterback for the Ohio State Buckeyes, but you might not ever know that because he's probably going to transfer. Right?
Quinn Ewers all over again.
Well, I know we talked about Quinn Ewers yesterday, but if he just would have reclassified, maybe he would still be in Columbus playing for Ohio State. I don't know. Do you want to know the other issue that I think crops up in all this? Do you trust that Ryan Day is making all the right decisions right now? I can't say that I am. And I said yesterday, I've had a little bit of a flip on how I feel about Ryan Day. One of the issues that I have is that he is in job preservation mode. That is a little different than going to win national championships mode. They are connected. He wins a national championship, that is job preservation mode. But is he making decisions right now in the best interest for the team long term, or is he making the best interest to get some heat off his butt? I don't know. And I said, I don't think they're not firing him this offseason. They're just not. So you're going to roll it out next year with Will Howard as your guy, and maybe he's your guy. Maybe he's your savior. And I know this, Ohio State, mark my words, going out on a limb here, they're going to be in the playoff next year. There's no world that Ohio State doesn't make the playoff next year. Even with 2 losses, probably, because it's going to happen. They're going to lose 2 games next year, easily, with how hard the Big Ten's going to get. They'll still make it. Will Howard will be your guy. Go Buckeyes. Go Bucks, I guess.
Big news in the gaming world. The EA Sports College Football release date is expected to be released during next week's National Championship game. Matt, are you buying?
Yes, but I got to wait a year for it. What is the hang up? Can I ask? They already, and I'm getting into a little bit of gaming speak here. The game engine, like when I say engine, every video game, think about it like a car. You have to have the engine of the game that does everything, right? It's already built. EA has already got it. They already had an NCAA football game. What are you complaining about? The players getting their, I said this to the nth degree. I don't care that it ever said QB2 for Ohio State. You mean everybody knew it was Terrell Pryor. Did you ever do that growing up, that you would go online and download the rosters anyway?
I never played college EA.
Oh,
college
you're that
football.
young.
Well,
oh my God.
I know people my age did.
Okay.
People my age did. I just personally never got into it.
So back in the day, when I was in college, there was some of the football players, they would assign teams. Like everybody would take 5 teams, and your job was to import the actual names to the roster, and then you just download it and you had it. It wasn't that hard to do. It was easy to get online too. But I saw Ohio State number 2. You know who that was. I knew who that was. I don't know why it's delayed. I guess the anticipation, they're trying to get this thing going, but it'll be a massively selling game. I'm going to buy it, sure. Dude, I haven't even bought Madden in about
me neither.
8 years.
It's awful. It's the same thing.
Well, I mean, the difference, what made NCAA so cool was, number 1, the recruiting, because you got to play your teams out. Number 2, you could run the triple option if you really wanted to. But it was year over, and you could do franchise mode in the NFL, or in Madden, excuse me. I don't have time. Like, I don't play video games anymore anyway because of the kids. And when I do, I jump on, I play Call of Duty. But, I thought about this. Because we don't have Twitch, do we? But we have YouTube. Can we stream on our YouTube channel? Like, if you and I wanted to sit down and game one night, you think fans would want to watch that?
Yeah, no, I think Dave kind of mentioned that one time in terms of...
He does the simulator.
He's got his golf simulator, and I think I would love to do Madden. That would be fun, though.
So maybe, when it does get released.
Yeah.
Write that down.
We pick a fan who can beat Matt and Madden.
Oh, it will not be a hard challenge. Trust me. I don't think it'd be that hard.
I'm pretty decent.
But yeah, maybe we do something. Write that down. We get some copies to give away or something like that. I think it'd be fun. Write that down. Write that down. We get some time to figure that out. But maybe in the future, 2024, we'll start streaming a little bit for some people.
All right, well, last update here for the morning update. I debated bringing this up, Matt, but I wanted to. I want to get your opinion on it. So prosecutors dropped the felony charges against Jackson Mahomes after he grabbed a woman by the neck and kissed her against her will. If you're Patrick Mahomes, how do you go about telling your brother, dude, this has to stop. You're a direct reflection of me, and I'm the face of one of the largest organizations in the world.
Here's the thing. You would hope that message has been sent already, that you understand.
It does seem like I haven't seen him as much.
I think he's reeled that back in. That also being said, it's not Mahomes. It's his brother. And there are a lot of players out there that have family members and maybe even some that are well-known and things like that. But you just kind of chalk it up to, that's him, not me. Is it a reflection on Patrick Mahomes? Sure, because it's Mahomes' last name. But I don't look at Patrick Mahomes and say it's his fault that his brother's an a-hole. You know what I mean? Like, I don't look at him and say, oh, yeah, Mahomes, it's on Patrick Mahomes that his brother is doing these things. But you're in the news. Like, I get it. And the same thing, like, with his wife. A lot of people were big fans of his wife, and now the Taylor Swift thing is kind of... But it's a double-edged sword, right? Because you look at... Technically, Travis Kelce, that's just his girlfriend, but...
Not according to Tony Romo.
Not according to Tony Romo, apparently. Dude, that's the other thing about TMZ, and I know that's millions of dollars and all that, but, like, they have video of them with the voice, like, just reading lips that apparently Kelce said he loves Taylor Swift.
Oh.
Like, said that, the big L word.
Oh, my.
Big day.
Oh, my.
Big day.
When was
happened.
this?
I don't even know when it was. They were at a party or something.
Aw, Travis in love.
The video is so bad. It's like across this like club or something, and they zoom in to try to see if Kelce says the word love. Maybe he was talking about Jordan Love. How do you know he's saying he loves Taylor Swift? But it's that these celebrities live in that world. They can't go anywhere, right? They can't do anything. There's paparazzi left and right. They're getting videotaped and all that other kind of stuff. So it's a tough world to live in. Jackson Mahomes seems like kind of a jerk, but I don't know if I'd necessarily look at it as a reflection on Patrick. But I'd agree. Knock it off. Like, knock it off. Because, dude, when you get famous, you bring everybody with you, I guess. That's how it goes. All right, let's head over back to the NFL. Bill Barnwell, ESPN NFL writer. Contenders' biggest weakness. and the playoff teams he would want to avoid. So here's so this is how he lays this article out. It's the biggest weakness for the team and then the team that the Browns should avoid. So he's answering a question that we had with Noah. Who's the team of the AFC South that you want to play? So we start with the Browns, and I want to run through all of the teams to go through their weaknesses too. And he did this in order of the 9 clinched playoff teams and their Super Bowl percentage chance. So I hate to tell you, the Browns are last on this list. They have a 0.5% chance to win the Super Bowl. But you're telling me there's a chance.
I was just thinking of that.
There we go. The Browns' biggest flaw, turnovers. Joe Flacco's renaissance in Cleveland has felt like a fever dream. The Browns have won 4 straight to clinch a playoff spot, blah, 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 309 yards against the Jets, 3 touchdowns, blah, blah, blah. Flacco's run is even more remarkable when you consider that he and the Browns have been able to come over his longtime bugaboo, turnovers. The Browns have turned the ball over 12 times in the past 5 games. 12 times in the last 5 games. Flacco responsible for 9 of those giveaways. 2 of those turnovers were pick sixes. And the Browns have turned the ball over 3 times in 3 of their 4 games in this win streak. So normally, and I'm sure there's some stat you can pull, when you turn the football over 3 times, your win percentage has got to be, 10%, something like that across the NFL. The Browns have been able to overcome that. In part, as Barnwell writes about Jim Schwartz's defense, they have forced 11. So think about this. We have turned the ball over 12 times in the last 5 games. We have taken it away 11 times. So you're asking your defense, and imagine where you'd be if you just cut down some of those turnovers. Now, granted, you won all these games, that's fine. But I think what Bill is writing here is right on. You cannot do that in the playoffs. You just can't do that. He writes, if you have a quarterback who turns the ball over, it's tougher to overcome those issues in the playoffs because you can't be as confident that that guy on the other side of the field is also going to turn the ball over. Oh, I was asking for this statistic. Here you go. From 2012 to 2022, teams that turned the ball over 2 times in a game in the regular season won 38% of the time. Teams that turned over the ball 3 times in a game, they won 23%. So a little higher than I thought. I said 10%. 23% of the time, they were able to win. But in the postseason, Ryan, you turn the ball over twice in that decade stretch in the playoffs, you only win 31% of the time. You turn it over 3 times, teams win 4-19. That's a winning percentage of 17. That's a magic number to keep in mind. 3, well, really 2. The thing is that not part of what we like about Joe Flacco? Not the interception. I don't think anybody likes interceptions. But that fact that he bounced back from them, and he's got a little of that gunslinger in him. You're going to throw the ball deep down the field. And some of those interceptions, let's not forget, they were missed routes. That was Ced Tillman getting beat on the inside. That was him thinking he was going to bust it. I'm not blaming Ced Tillman on any of those. It is what it is. But he's getting used to a new receiving core. Like, I truly think 3 of those interceptions I just chalk up to your guy ran the wrong route. He got bumped off the route. What did you want him to do, right? It's not he made the battery. And also even a couple of those, chucking it up. You just kind of live with them. So I know the stats. If you just wanted to sit there and tell me the Browns would turn the ball over 12 times in 5 games, I'd be like, yes, that's disgusting. I don't want that. But in reality, I could make an excuse for 4 of those, maybe. Yeah. So then it becomes not so bad, right?
Yeah, bare minimum 3.
So I'm going to try to push that aside. The one team, according to Bill Barnwell, the Browns need to avoid the Houston Texans. His reason being, they have the 2nd lowest turnover rate in the NFL. They only turn the ball over on 8% of their possessions this season, 2nd lowest in the NFL. Now, when we did play them, we forced 2 takeaways and got the win there. But that was out with Case Keenum. That was not with C.J. Stroud. Interesting in Houston. So Bill's really riding the pony here of turnovers being the thing the Browns need to correct, and then don't face the team that doesn't turn the football over. That's kind of his mark there for each of the team, or for the Browns anyway. I will tell you this. I think Houston, no matter what, is the second team that I don't want to face. I could have a conversation of the Colts or the Jags being one, and then I would put the other team at the end. You know what I mean? Like, I think I still want to face, I think my ordering is I want to face the Colts, then the Texans, then the Jags. I think that's it.
That's mine.
The Jags are a team that I'm like, the injuries play a factor, and we'll see Trevor Lawrence this weekend, but I think that's my ordering. So it's a little interesting that he said the Houston Texans were the team to avoid. But I could listen to it. And I could reorder that, I guess, a little bit to say it would go Colts, Jags, then Houston.
Yeah, my argument for it would be is I have the same order as you. I would want to play the Colts the most, and then I would want to play the Texans. I would want to avoid the Jaguars, and the reason being is, I mean, you could sit here and tell me that C.J. Stroud is a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence, and I really, as crazy as that sounds, I can't really make an argument for the way that they've both played this season. But then it goes beyond that, right? It goes to the fact that Jaguars were in the playoffs last year. They won a playoff game somehow, that major comeback. Then you have Doug Peterson, a Super Bowl winning coach, right? So you got two guys that have been there and done that in the playoffs. But then you look at the Texans, a rookie quarterback and a rookie head coach. I would just personally rather play them than the Jaguars.
Fair enough. Let's run through all the other teams. Wait, we actually have some breaking news here. ESPN story, Cavs and Ricky Rubio have agreed on a contract buyout. So Rubio done.
It was fun while it
Yeah.
lasted.
Sorry, I'm sending a tweet. Help this team. So again, so this is coming down right now. This is from Adrian Wojnarowski, ESPN. After stepping away from the franchise to address his mental health, Ricky Rubio and the Cavs have agreed on a contract buyout, likely marking the end of his accomplished 12-year NBA career, sources told ESPN. The buyout, which has $6 million left on his contract for this year and $6.4 for next year, gives the Cavs some financial relief and opens up a second spot on the team's roster. If Rubio continues professional career, it'll likely be in Spain, according to Wojnarowski. Over the summer, Rubio and his agent alerted Cavs president Kobe Altman about his need to step away to address those mental health issues. The Cavs have accommodated Rubio, but discussions shifted in recent weeks to a buyout as it became clear that Rubio did not anticipate playing for the Cavs or even in the NBA ever again. He's missed most of the last 2 seasons recovering from a torn ACL, the second of his career, played only 33 games a year ago after joining the team midseason and averaging 5.5 points before that. Listen, man, I wish Ricky Rubio the best. I do. I wish he could have helped this team because I think they could have really used him. You know what I mean? Like, I think the backup guard, where they've had Sam Merrill, they've been able to have Craig Porter Jr. step up again. But I miss him because I think he could really help this team. That being said, if his true want is to play back overseas and if it's just to be at home, I'm not going to deny him for that. I truly wish him the best. I think he could help this team a lot, but I really do wish him the best as he moves on in the next part of his career. If he even continues to playing, maybe he just wants to go home. Who knows? But again, Cavs and Ricky Rubio moving towards a buyout. That'll happen, gives the Cavs a little bit of flexibility with their cap and another spot on the roster. All right, back to the NFL. Bill Barnwell running through all the teams, their biggest weakness of the playoffs, and the team they should avoid. Number 8, the LA Rams, a 1% chance to make or win the Super Bowl. Their flaw, kicking. Couldn't relate. Couldn't relate.
Peasants.
The funny thing is they had a kicker off the Browns practice squad, that Lucas Haviskrik or whatever his name was. He's out. They're going back to Brett Maher, formerly of the Dallas Cowboys, and the team they should avoid is Tampa because Maher missed 4 of 5 extra points in a Cowboys win in Tampa last year. So there you go. Number 7, the Eagles. Is it crazy the Eagles only have a 2% chance to win the Super Bowl? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Their biggest flaw is pass defense. That defense has been a joke anyway. Their team to avoid, the San Francisco 49ers. Of course, Brock Purdy picked them apart on his way to 314 and 4 touchdowns over Philly last month. Number 6, Detroit, 2% chance to win the Super Bowl. Their flaw is beating pressure. He's gotten pressure, talking about Jared Goff. Let me see. I'm trying to see. Goff, dude, when he is pressured, he only has an 8.8 QBR. That is 26th in the NFL. So they cannot handle pass rush there. And, of course, the team to avoid, the Dallas Cowboys and Micah Parsons. Number 5, Miami, 4% chance to win the Super Bowl. Their flaw is red zone defense. The team to avoid for the Dolphins, the Buffalo Bills. They have the second best offensive line inside the red zone this season. There's your matchup there. Number 4, Kansas City, 4% chance to win the Super Bowl. Their flaw, dropping passes. Their wide receivers have been something quite interesting this year. The team to avoid, your Cleveland Browns. Jim Schwartz's defense has a league-best QBR against running backs and tight ends this season. Shockingly, only the Panthers have allowed fewer receiving yards to backs and tight ends this season than the Browns. A matchup where Mahomes would be forced to throw to his wideouts might not go well. Maybe we got something there for the Kansas City
Let's
Chiefs.
go to Arrowhead.
We can remedy that playoff disaster from a couple of years ago, couldn't we?
We could.
Is that how it would play? Oh, I guess there's always a matchup that could play out depending on how it goes. The Chiefs. Number 3, Dallas Cowboys. Their biggest issue is rushing defense, the team that you not want to face. San Francisco 49ers can't stop Christian McCaffrey. Number 2, Cowboys, 12% chance to win the Super Bowl. Next up, the Baltimore Ravens with a 29% chance to win the Super Bowl. Their flaw, fumbles. They have a drop rate of 4%, but an 8.7 drop rate across their losses this season. That is the worst in football. The other thing, Baltimore has fumbled on 2% of their offensive snaps, which is a little over league average, but those fumbles have disproportionately appeared in all of their losses. So it's not so much that they fumble all the time, but when they lose games, that's when they fumble. The team that they should avoid, the Cleveland Browns!
Yes, sir.
The Browns have forced more fumbles on opposing snaps than anybody else in the NFL. They have forced 3% of opposing snaps this season. They've gotten a fumble on it. The Jags are just behind them, so you can listen to Jacksonville on that, but you would talk about the Cleveland Browns. We got a recipe for a win against the Chiefs and the Ravens.
We have a recipe against any team.
I think we
playoffs.
do. Honestly, we do.
We really do.
I think we do.
First time I feel like we could ever say that.
I mean, you beat the 49ers in a little bit of... The other thing is, in some of those wins, most notably, talk about the 49ers and Baltimore, those were our recipe for success. And the Browns' defense is really... Like, that's the magic elixir to drink right now, if you will. You play defense, force turnovers, and you let Joe Flacco throw the football, you can go with anybody. You can run with anybody. You really can. There you go. Number 1, San Francisco, 35% chance to win the Super Bowl. Their biggest flaw, interceptions. Brock Purdy, strictly been a problem in the losses. So he had 12 wins this season. He threw 324 pass attempts. In his 12 wins, he threw 2 interceptions. That is a 0.06 interception rate in his wins. In his losses, 1.5%. In his losses on 120 passes. Wait. No, I'm sorry. I'm messing up here. I'm sorry. In Purdy's 4 losses, he threw 9 picks in 120 pass attempts. That's a rate of 7.5. Oof. So 7.5% interception rate for Brock Purdy in losses, 0.6% in his wins. The team the 49ers should try to avoid, the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore's been the NFL's best starting team when it comes to getting those interceptions, as we know, and they have a lot of guys that can get that done. Pretty interesting article there from Bill Barnwell to avoid. So there's two teams that don't want to see the Cleveland Browns, in his opinion, the Chiefs and the Ravens.
I think every team don't.
Well,
want
I mean,
to see
sure,
it.
every team, but especially even more to a point of some of the things. There you go. So Ricky Rubio done with the Cavs. Coming down this morning. Nick tweets the show. Just play devil's advocate for a second. I think Porter's giving the Cavs everything Ricky could have outside of another veteran presence in the locker room. I agree, though. I hope everything works out for Ricky and he does whatever he needs to feel better. I agree with you, Nick. I mean, yeah, you found a guy in like Sam Merrill and Craig Porter Jr. I don't know. I guess I just would feel a little better with it being Ricky Rubio, but also, you know, if he doesn't have anything left and his body really just isn't in it, then it's time to go. You know, and that's fine. And like I said, I'm all good with that. I am all good with that for the best on him. So it certainly loosens some things up with the Cavs and helps them out with some things. Really wishing Ricky Rubio the best. All right, when we come back, we'll dive into Time Hop. Got a couple. We're back into movies and TV shows for you today. Really all three TV shows in a way. So we'll run through that. I've got national championships this day in history, a couple things with the Browns. We'll get to all that. We'll jump into Time Up. We'll do it next. Fontana Show right here on Big Play. We'll take you up till 11 o'clock as always. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Matt Fontana Show. Time Hop comes your way next. All right, we head back in time on the January 4th, the date. We'll run through, tell you a little bit about what happened in history. This one goes all the way back a little bit, though, Ryan. 10 years ago today, Chip Kelly interviewed with the Cleveland Browns.
Wow.
I cannot tell you how crazy of that offseason was, where Chip Kelly came in. It was, of course, after, everything he did with the Eagles. And there was reports that he was going to take this job, right? And, he went to the Eagles. So he interviewed. So this was after he was at Oregon.
Yeah.
Won the national champion, right? Did he go to the national championship? He went to a national championship. They didn't win it. But
was he not coaching Oregon when they lost to Ohio State?
yeah, they were. Yeah, right. Oh no, 2011 when they lost to Auburn.
Oh, okay.
And that was Cam Newton. But he led them to 4 straight BCS bowl game appearances. And he was the hot name for the NFL, whatever. He interviewed with the Browns. And there were reports that he was going to take the job. And then he didn't. And then the thing I'll remember about that offseason was every single person that the Browns seemed to call didn't call them back. And it was the year after they fired Rob Chudzinski after just, or no. Yeah, was that, no. Yeah, it was Chud. He only got the 1 year, right? Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And the Browns had this stink on them that you fired a guy after just 1 season, right? And am I misremembering all this? Wait a minute. These dates get all screwed in there. 2013, Chip Kelly interviewed with the Browns. He was supposedly going to take the job. Then he didn't. And you know what? Then they hired Rob Chudzinski. That's what happened. They hired Chud on January 10th. So a week later, they went with Rob Chudzinski. And then it was after that season that everybody else told them no, and they had to go get Mike Pettin. That's what it was. But the Chip Kelly saga here, he's like Josh McDaniels. He always kept coming back up with the Browns. But he interviewed with the team this day, 2013. Speaking of going back on a deal, this day, 2000, a day after accepting the Jets head coaching job, Bill Belichick resigns, and a week later, he would take the Patriots job.
What could have
Probably
been.
a good idea on that. Oh, no, not what could have been, Ryan. He'd have been out of that job in 3 years. Tom Brady was not there, man. Well, you're right. I guess what could have been of not being Bill Belichick, but he went back on that, went back to the Patriots. This day, 1999, the Euro debuted. 11 nations adopted a single currency known as the Euro. Today, 19 different countries use the Euro. I've been to Europe twice. I went to Italy and Ireland on separate trips. And what you have to do is, if you're going on a trip, you can call your local bank and say, I'm going to come in and get, 1,000 euros or 500 euros. And you could come in. You just have to call to make sure that they can get it to the bank in time. So that's what we did. Each time we called them and said, hey, we want $500 worth of euros to go. And then you just come in and you do your exchange there.
How many years out do you think we are from paper money just becoming obsolete?
See, it would probably be cheaper for everybody, like the U.S. Mint, and I'm sure they don't want to see that. But do you know that there's a world that you can make money off of just trading euros and dollars back? Because the exchange rate always changes. So, and I would imagine, I'm going to screw this all up, but it would be like, you buy the euro low and then you sell it. Yeah, it's exactly like a stock. You sell and you buy it when it's high and it's low, going back and forth on just trading dollars to euros.
Dude, the Bitcoin era, we're still in the era of it. Don't get me wrong.
Bitcoin, yes. Like NFTs are gone, but like the cryptocurrency.
But there was the time that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, kind of when crypto hit that launch before it really fell off. My portfolio, day and night, right? I'm not kidding you. In 3 hours, my portfolio went from 9,500 to 5,400 in 3 hours.
Yeah, that's the danger of playing the stock game. And I have friends that day trade. They have regular jobs and they're kind of in the financial world. And I know that you can sit down and now on an app or on a computer and you can just day trade all day. That's not a world that I know of, so I'd just be wasting my money. This is weird.
I know a kid who made 40 grand off Dogecoin.
Yeah, that kind of stuff, like the Bitcoin stuff. The thing that I get is the stories of people that go, I threw away a hard drive with $50 million worth of Bitcoin on it. I don't, and I'm putting this on you, but do you know a lot about it? A little bit about it? Okay, so can I This will be fun. I'm going to explain to you what I think Bitcoin is, and you tell me how right or wrong I am. Okay? So, Bitcoin, when you hear somebody that mines Bitcoin, that means that they have to go track the history of this transaction, right?
So I don't know a ton about mining, but I know the people that do it. I mean, it's like their full-time job. Like they have a whole computer lab set up.
Right.
I'm sure they use AI as well to help them out. But yeah, they literally it's just so much mix of coding and tracking data. I mean, it's really something that you really have to know to do.
And then you get Bitcoin when you do it, right?
And then
in a world that people, you're right. If I laid $5 down, it's a piece of paper, but it's supposed to be backed by gold, and it's supposed to mean something.
Right.
Everybody lives in a digital currency. Like I have money on my phone, right? That is in my bank account, and I pay my electric bill, and I pay my credit card bill. I never actually see that physical money. These are all just digital transactions. So that's when people jumped on this, well, we'll just create our own currency. And am I wrong? Like Elon kind of pushed a lot of this too, because he was like, oh, I'll take Bitcoin for, cars and stuff like that.
He was a big one, and the other two were the Winklevoss twins.
Oh, yeah, from
really from Facebook.
From Facebook.
They're really on their they're big Bitcoin guys.
How I know that it's not there yet, you still equate Bitcoin to dollars. You still need people to say that how much is one Bitcoin worth right now?
I don't know what it was, but during the height, it was at like $70,000. And then it's probably like 40 now. I don't know what it's at, but
one Bitcoin is worth $43,000.
Yeah, so I was close
this morning.
So outside of Bitcoin, another really popular one, which this was one I was mainly into, was Ethereum. I bought in when it was about a couple $100. But I know people that a guy that bought some when it was like $7, and then at that height, I think it got to like $4,500. So I was making some good money off that. But it's just it's so fluid. It's so high-low. It is super tough, and you got to be super responsible with it.
So this was a running bit on my old show that I had somebody on Twitter send me a crypto called Minoki. I'm not kidding. It was called Minoki. And I looked it up that you could buy one share of Minoki was 0.00000000000, like all these zeros, 71 of 1 penny. Like 1 penny could have bought me 70 some odd thousand shares of Minoki.
Yes, yeah, because
it seems, I'm gonna call it for what it is. It seems like a pyramid scheme. Buy this thing, and then when everybody else gets into it, then we're gonna inflate it, and then you sell it.
It's a giant. It is a giant bubble, is what it is at the end of the day.
And I said this as a novice, I'm a millennial. I live in the 21st century. I get all of it. But when people in the stocks, remember when everybody freaked out about GameStop?
Yeah.
And people made all this money. What I wanted people to understand was, and this is probably more for NFTs, people that said, oh, dude, I made all this money selling these crappy, weird NFTs and those weird, what was it, the ape, right? One had an earring. Yeah, one had an earring, another one had an eye patch, and everybody had to get one, right? And you go, oh my God, I made $45,000 off of NFT. What people don't forget is that means somebody else lost $45,000. That money just was not created in thin air. It didn't come out of anywhere. You took that out of somebody else's pockets. Now, you'd be saying there, oh, I took it from some hedge fund millionaire guy. Maybe not. Maybe not. There are people that lost their ass on that, and that's the danger of getting into and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was the whole. They're coming out with a movie about that GameStop thing, which
I'm sure
because there was a whole debate. I forget what app it was. It's green. I forget what app it is, but the CEO. He was under fire because he shut down that GameStop stuff. I'm assuming because he got a bunch of pressure from these big hedge fund guys that were borrowing these stocks, and then people buying GameStop made them lose a shit ton of money.
Yeah, I believe it.
He basically shut down the trading system, and people were he got so many lawsuits.
Well, because then they say that's insider trading because
that's
you
exactly
knew that this is what it was,
yeah.
and you're going to pull the plug on it. This sounds really weird. And again, I'm very thankful to say that my wife and I are in a sound financial state. We have a financial planner, and we do okay and all that kind of stuff. And really, a lot of it is taking care of the kids and putting money away for their school and trying to live as frugal as we can while being smart. I'd rather sports bet.
Yeah.
Seriously. And I'm not saying that the stock market is any safer or less safer than sports betting. But if I looked at it and I said, all right, I want to take, if I'm going to invest $5,000, I would literally look at it and say, let me do some sports betting with it then. Because at least at that point, implied odds are not always 50-50, but I think that's a little more up and up. I look at it this way. I think it's a little easier to do that. Because there are just some games that I can look at and I just know the spread and I go, yeah, and again, fluky things can happen. That's why betting is no for sure. And gamble responsibly. We need to say that again. 1-800-GAMBLER if you got a problem. But instead of like entering that stock market game and trading Bitcoin and signing NFTs, I'd rather, if I really needed to go make money, I'd rather lay some points down in a game that I feel really confident about.
I know a lot of people that feel that way.
Sure. I think that's a little safer in a way.
Yeah.
We're doing all right on Tipico. We're doing all right. You know, that's what I'm saying. My wife and I had that conversation because she asked me that one time. She goes, would you ever get in that? And I go, well, first off, I would feel better just giving that money to a financial person and saying, take your cut and turn this into something. I will tell you this, as the generation that I am in, the millennial generation that I am in, I can't tell you how many get-rich-quick schemes are out there that are masked as other stuff. And in reality, it's, just start your own business or start doing this or start doing that. I mean, it's a tough thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do. But I feel like my generation just misses that sometimes. Plus, with the power of social media, you get such a skewed representation of people that sit there and you see a bet ticket that hit for $500,000. You see these guys on Instagram that they push like, dude, I just cashed $100,000 on my sports bets this weekend. Oh, did you? Did you really? But where are all the other, you know what I mean? Like, it's a scary world to live in.
People are like, they literally have to make like laws about this stuff, and it's going to be continuing to figure out a way to basically regulate this thing that is known to be whatever that word is, unregulable.
Sure.
Yeah, and like a guy like Elon Musk who tweets about Dogecoin, you see instantly its market cap moves up like 500%.
Isn't that crazy?
It's like one man to have that much power is just insane.
Well, I mean, the same thing goes on with relations where, that's life. That's politics. When a policy gets passed or somebody says something, gas goes up 10 cents. You know, like, and I know people, somebody said this to me a long time ago. They go, you want to look at the health of America? Go look at gas prices. Yeah, you can look at the stock market and the NASDAQ and all that other stuff. He goes, let me know what gas prices are. And that'll tell you our relations with everybody else and what's going on in the world. And I've always hung on to that. I think that's true. We started talking about the euro, and here we are. But eventually, that is what it is. All right, this day, 1970, Minnesota becomes the first ever expansion team to win the NFL title. They beat the Browns 27-7 in the championship game. A very important one for me. This day, 1967, The Doors released their debut album. You know a Doors song?
I know it's Jim Morrison.
Yeah, Light My Fire.
Oh, I know Light My Fire.
Riders on the Storm. I used to always end my show with Riders on the Storm, one of my favorite songs. So that is not on their debut. Light My Fire also, no, that's on their debut album. Break On Through, great song. Soul Kitchen, jam. Crystal Ship, 20th Century Fox, Backdoor Man, The End. Oh, great stuff. Check that out. All right, do you want your little trivia of the day?
Yeah, I do.
So on the bonus issue tracks, they added Moonlight Drive. If anybody ever asked you the first song that Jim Morrison ever wrote for the Doors, it was Moonlight Drive.
Moonlight Drive.
Moonlight Drive. He wrote it as a poem, and he gave it to Ray Manzarek. They met on a beach. They were out in California, went to UCLA, all that kind of stuff. That was the first ever song that he gave to Ray Manzarek. Was the song that eventually became Moonlight Drive. This day, 1896, Utah entered the Union as the 45th state. Never been. Salt Lake City seems fine. I don't know.
Yeah, never been.
Never really been. All right, national championships this day in history. This day, 1999, the first ever BCS national championship. Tennessee beat Florida State 23-16. This day, 2004, LSU beat Oklahoma 21-14. This day, 2005, Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, and the crew. Number one, USC beat Oklahoma 55-19. And they became the first team to go wire to wire as the number one undefeated national championship. Of course, that was later vacated. Somebody had a tweet about Caleb Williams. Did you see that?
What was it?
He's sitting in a penthouse that he lives in LA, going to USC, and they go, but Reggie Bush took $1,000
Yeah.
and you can't give him his Heisman back.
Ridiculous.
Like, what are we at? Come on now. And then this day, 2006, Vince Young, number 2 Texas, beats USC 41-38, and that ended the Trojans' 34-game winning streak. Very happy birthday goes out to former Cavalier Colin Sexton, former Browns punter and single bar man himself, Scott Frost, last guy in the NFL to wear the single bar as the punter. Derrick Henry, Ante Zizic, and Isaac Newton. Sir Isaac Newton. All
Died a
celebrating
virgin.
birthdays today. All right, 3 television shows for you, all this day in history. We start this day, 2011. Oh, man, I can't.
This is TV, you said?
Yeah, they're all TV. I can't give it away without giving away the show. 2 guys with beards that have a striking resemblance to one another.
Duck Dynasty?
No, good guess, though. No, that's right. You're very close on that. Well, I guess the one guy has a beard. The other one usually does. They fix up your house for you, and they're related.
They fix up your house for you, and they're Property Brothers.
I couldn't think of what I was gonna say. Twins or
Yeah,
brothers.
yeah.
Yeah, Property Brothers. Dude, they're everywhere now. They have their own network. They do all that kind of crap. The funniest thing, I don't even think it was that show. What's the other one with the Gaines people? Joanna and Chip Gaines.
I don't know.
Oh, you know that. They're the Magnolia Network. Not Love It or List It. Fixer Upper.
Okay.
My favorite thing on that was they would go to these people and they'd go, all right, we need to, you need to fix our house. And the meme was like, oh, I'm an out of work harmonica tuner and my wife is a dolphin trainer. Our budget is $875,000. That kind of stuff. It's just they live in a different world. But yes, Property Brothers, this day, 2011. All right, next up, this is a television show, but it's really only on the internet. It started this day, 2008. It features Alan from a different movie.
Okay.
Alan from a very good film trilogy.
Yeah, I know where you're getting at.
Okay. So then you probably should get it.
It was a show that's only on the internet.
Yeah. Do you get Alan
Yeah,
from...
Zach Galifianakis.
What show did he do?
I don't know.
Between Two Ferns?
Oh, I've never
Have you never
seen it.
What?
No, I've never seen it.
You've never seen Between Two Ferns?
No.
Oh my God, go Google it. It's hilarious. He does satirical interviews with
Oh,
people.
I think I have.
guarantee
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
seen the clips.
Yeah.
He sits there, and it's meant to be on like a public service, channel.
Yeah.
And he's interviewing Brie Larson
Now I
about
know you're
how
talking
they
about,
named
yeah.
their daughter after cheese, and like
Yeah.
the whole point is for it to be
Brie, yeah.
satirical. Yeah, right. The outtakes are hilarious. The Matthew McConaughey one is hilarious. But yes, Between Two Ferns, this day 2008. If you like stand-up comedy and you've never seen Zach Galifianakis live at the Purple Onion, it's right before Hangover hit. It's right before the Hangover hit. It's hilarious. All right, final one. This day 1999, an animated television show. 3 friends, all with the same name.
Ed, Edd n Eddy?
Ed, Edd n Eddy's correct.
Oh,
Nice
what a
job.
classic.
Finish it
What a
out, man.
classic.
Ed, and Eddie.
What a good
There's
show.
a bracket to be had, and maybe even next week on the show, of
Oh,
your
yeah, yeah.
favorite late 90s cartoon. Dexter's Laboratory. Well, it's even cartoon. Like Dexter's Laboratory.
Hey Arnold.
Hey Arnold. Rocco. Angry Beavers.
Rugrats.
Rugrats was great. Doug. I was not a big
Ren
Ed,
and
Edd n Eddy
Stimpy?
guy. we weren't allowed to watch Ren and Stimpy as kids. There were 3 shows that my parents wouldn't let us watch.
Pinky and the Brain.
Ren and Stimpy, Beavis and Butthead, and The Simpsons. Big Time Wrestling we weren't supposed to watch either. I think that was like a self-preservation thing with 5 boys in a house. My poor mother. She just didn't want us doing, rock bottoms to all of us and stone cold stunners all day. Yeah. We were not allowed to watch The Simpsons, Ren and Stimpy, or Beavis and Butthead. Those are the shows. And I mean, eventually South Park and all that kind of stuff too, where it's not really, but you stayed up late watching anyway. But yes, Ed and Eddie is how it goes. Great stuff today. We're already out of time, man. There we go. We got into the Dogecoin conversation today. It is what it is. Great stuff. Football Friday tomorrow. We'll get Sonny back on. We'll make our selections for the weekend. National Championship, of course, game on Monday. And a big weekend to sit back and again, relax and watch some football. So I'll have it all for you tomorrow.
Shall we tell our good listeners
how
to
our
win
boost,
some money?
Yes, our boost. Okay, so here's the new thing, folks. Our great thing with Tipico. We love our friends at Tipico. Download the app, sign up, bet $25, use that code BIGPLAY100, and you get signed up, and you can get the money as far as this. Deposit and bet $25. Use the code BIGPLAY100. You get $100 in bonus bets. We are now going to be doing daily boosts here on the show. Tonight, in the association, we are going to do the anti-Golden State Warriors one. As Cavs fans, we will do an anti-Golden State parlay tonight. Nuggets Warriors. Here's where we're at. Jokic, 26 points or over. Steph Curry under 4.5 threes, and the Nuggets to win by 3. That is boosted to plus 470. I'm going to go ahead and place my wager.
Back on the track today.
Yeah, right there. Boom, done. Tipico. Get to that boost, folks. We love it. We appreciate everybody at Tipico. Download the app. Use that code BIGPLAY100 when you sign up. We'll be doing boosts every day. Tonight, the anti-Warriors boost. Enjoy it tonight. Chico coming up at 12. Don't go anywhere. Got a lot coming up with him. And then tomorrow, a Football Friday edition.
Boobies
tonight. Booby Gibson, Rafa back. Perfect. Right in between a win against the Wizards and a win tomorrow against them as well. So Booby tonight, check that out. Great stuff this morning. For Ryan Tyler, I am Matt Fontana. As always, take it easy.